now we're talking about one of the most important, salient principles of traditional Kundalini Hatha Yoga. So let's really get this. It's a short class, but very important. In traditional Kundalini Hatha Yoga, we like to use triangles to describe many different triads, right? Body, speech, and mind, you might have heard of, and so forth. Let's look at it this way right now. Let's say that the top peak of my fingers is the breath or the energy of your human experience, of your human body, mind, and complex, right? And let's say that this corner is the mind and this corner is movement or the body. So these are the three aspects of a human being. The energy of a human being, which is also emotion or sexual energy or vitality, but here we're going to call it the breath as well. So the breath is a symbol of all that energy, right? Or energy is a symbol of all that breath, whatever. And the mind and then the body here. If we can get these 3 points to come together, to fuse, the center opens up, which is a center of present moment awareness, and the discursive thoughts or the constant thinking of the mind that interferes with being present, that interferes with us really sensing our energy of living presence. It starts to go away, it starts to dissipate. So a lot of what we're talking about in Kundalini Hatha Yoga practice is a very systematic methodology of very powerful techniques to bring a fusion of those 3 together, of your breath, of your prana, of your energy. Here are your emotions, your sexuality, your sensations, your breath, your life force prana, all that stuff together with the movement. If we can get the energy and the movement in the triangle to come together, a really interesting thing happens. The mind just gets sucked in like a black hole. This is the real beauty of the yoga practice that I discovered. I discovered it when I was very young. I started learning yoga when I was 7 years old, and I continued it right up steadily till about 13, and then I would do it maybe 3 or 4 times a week, a lot of times before I practiced martial arts because I was getting into other kinds of martial arts. But I kept my yoga practice and the meditation that I learned as my deep inner kind of self-practice. But I was running out of time to put too much time into it. But the lessons I got from it, from those years, were invaluable. Because even as a young person, I started to realize, you know, when you move and when you breathe and when you concentrate on the movement and the breath, and you're staying aware, when your awareness, right, is staying with the breath and the movement, it all comes together and collapses into one point. And then you become one-pointed. You get in the zone, right? And all of a sudden, normal thoughts that would be normally moving through your mind all day long are either not there at all. You're just focused with your awareness on what you're doing. That's taking up the full screen right now of your mind. Or whatever's coming through as random thoughts, they don't even deserve any attention. Like you don't even pay any attention to them. We're just moving into this wonderful place of fusion of the body, or it could be seated posture, that's the body too, or it could be moving or holding an asana, but the breath awareness, the energies that are aroused through the sensation of, sensations that are aroused through the awareness, and then the energy and mind and breath come together and produce this beautiful fusion. So this is one of the keys. This is what we're really going for in the practice, because this will be applied, this same principle of, you could say, immersing deeply into sensation or into a chakra or a mantra or whatever it is, but by piercing it. In fact, in the ancient tradition, it's called vyapti, right? You're piercing the mantra's energy, or you're piercing the bindu's energy, or the chakra's energy, or the channel's energy, right? The more subtle aspects of this Kundalini Hatha Yoga practice. But by piercing it, it means you become completely immersed in it where no other reality exists at that point. And that's when you get like tremendous growth through these experiences. Well, the doorway to that is to come through the doorway of the energy and the doorway of the body in the beginning of Kundalini Hatha Yoga. Once you learn the skill of entering, where the mind dissolves into that center, then later you can enter very easily through more subtle techniques, just through putting your mind in a subtle bhava, a subtle disposition like a virtue, taking on love or compassion. It becomes all-consuming, or penetrating a mantra of a deity and you experience the deity's energy body, or any of these other higher practices. There's so many. Okay, so this is what's really important for us to move to in our understanding of the yoga at this point. So think about this as you're practicing now each day, as you're producing the movements. Let your mind move away from the discursive into the awareness of just what you're doing. Softly, not harshly. Softly hold it with the practice that you're doing and the breath coordination, and let go. And just let go. And don't grasp at any other kind of thinking. Don't worry if thoughts come through or not. It doesn't matter. Do nothing with them. Stay with the energy of the awareness of the sensations in the body and the position of the body or the movement, and eventually the little mind will dissolve and will go into the center of the triangle and just right into the center of your being, okay? Now, the continued practice routine from here is continue as before. Invoke interior red light body as always. Do 5 to 10 minutes of supine yogic natural breathing 2 times a day. But now we added what? The Pavana Mukta Asana series, the Wind series, part 1. Do about 5 to 7 repetitions for each one of those movements. Then end with Shavasana, breath normalizing itself, immersing in the sensations and the relaxation, like control of everything go. And then self-massage at the end of that, at the very end of that, and then you're out. Okay? See you at the next class.